The idea of vocation first probably came to me in secondary school, but I thought it was just a phase. Going to an all-boys school run by a religious order, I kind of dismissed it. Plus, I really, really wanted to go to university. And after I graduated, left university or school, I went to UCC and did 3 years doing a degree in social science. And I loved university. It was an amazing time. I found my voice. I became more outgoing, more sociable, made some really, really great friends. Did everything in university normal people do. I went to house parties, I went to clubs, I went to festivals, went to the odd lecture here and there as well. Had girlfriends, really threw myself into university life. The one thing I can honestly say I didn't do, and that was I had no contact whatsoever with chaplaincy or with anything to do with the church on the university campus. I did get involved in kind of, social care and voluntary work and things like that, but nothing directly connected with the church or with any particular religious organisation. The idea of priesthood, religious life, kind of still surfacing here and there. So I again dismissed it because I wanted to go working. I never had a real job. I'd work for the summers, but never actually a fully paid, qualified, grown-up job. And I got a job in a children's home in Cappoquin in Waterford, run under the auspices of the Sisters of Mercy. And I was there for a year full-time. Absolutely loved working with the kids. It was challenging, it was difficult at times, but I loved it. Really, really, really loved work. And then after that year, I was kind of faced with three choices. I could go back to university and continue my studies, become a social worker. I could remain in my work and be made permanent, or I could give this priesthood, religious life thing a go. So I went to Maynooth in the year 2000 and stayed there for 3 years. First year was really enjoyable. I was doing philosophy, so I was mixing with the lay students more, threw myself into the whole experience. By the end of second year, which was my first year in theology, I decided and realised that diocesan priesthood was definitely not for me. So I told the student master, the director of formation, that I wasn't going to come back. And he kind of strongly encouraged I come back for one more year to be absolutely sure. And so I came back for a second year in theology, and after that realised it was definitely not for me. So I returned home to Cork with 50 euros in my bank account, no job, back home to my parents, feeling very sorry for myself. And then I suppose God smiles in different ways. One of my friends rang me from university, and she was asking my plans and what I was going to do now that I was back in Cork. I had no plan. I had no job. I had no where to even look for a job. And she told me there's jobs going where I work with the Brothers of Charity. So I applied and was immediately offered a job working one-to-one with a guy who had autism. So I was 2 years there working with him and with the other 9 people he was living with. But still the idea of priesthood and religious life particularly kept popping up. And I kept dismissing it until finally I decided I would do one thing and one thing only. And that is I would send 4 emails, the same emails to 4 congregations that I was somewhat interested in, and I would see what the response was. And then I met the Augustinians. They were the last group that I responded to, and met the vocation director at the time. And even during the first encounter, the first chat, it was like every question in my head was being ticked yes, every box, yes, 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 yes. And what I really liked was every time I asked, what happens now? The answer was always, well, what do you want to do? Again, no one I knew was discerning religious life, and having had maybe a slightly negative experience in Maynooth, I was very slow to throw myself wholeheartedly back into this whole experience. So I suppose I prolonged it as long as I could, and he was infinitely patient. So eventually we got to the stage where he said it would be good if I visited a community, and he suggested Limerick. And he said, all I'll do is I will inform the prior that you might be contacting him. I'll give him your name. It's up to you to when to contact him, how long you want to stay, when you want to go. I'll leave that to you to organise. And I waited weeks and weeks and weeks before I contacted Limerick. And I could tell when I first rang the poor prior, wasn't quite sure who on earth I was. But eventually the penny dropped, and he was very hospitable and welcoming, and we arranged a weekend. Again, I told no one. I think I made up some excuse that I was going to some concert or something like that, and headed off down to Limerick for the weekend. Our Limerick house is like an old gentleman's club, so there's stairs up and down and there's floors everywhere, but there's no lift. And I remember it was on this, I think the second night I was there, I was upstairs in the common room watching some TV around 9:30, and in came one of the friars, Leo, who's now gone to God, another Cork man who was in his 80s at that stage. And he asked a simple question: would I like a cup of tea? And I said, please. And he disappeared off out the door. And he was gone, I'd say, maybe 5-10 minutes. And I realised he had to go down 2 flights of stairs to the basement to get me this cup of tea. And next thing, Leo arrived in with a tray with milk, sugar, tea, biscuits, cake, and the biggest smile on his face. And I remember saying to myself, if he can do this at his age and be so happy, this is where I want to be.